I'm a 23-year-old woman who moved out of my parents' house 2 years ago when I got my first job in a new city. My childhood home holds a lot of memories for me, and while I was excited to start my own life, I always assumed that one day, I'd either inherit the house or at least have a say in what happens to it. My younger sister, Rachel, F21, is still in college and has been living at home while studying. A few months ago, my parents told me they were planning to downsize and move into a smaller apartment closer to the city. I was surprised but understood their reasoning. However, they then dropped a bombshell: they were giving the house to Rachel. I was shocked and hurt. They didn't ask for my input or even give me a heads up. When I asked them why, they said Rachel needed a stable place to live while finishing school and that she'd always been more attached to the house than I was. They assured me that I was always welcome to visit, but it felt like they were brushing aside my connection to the home. To make matters worse, they also mentioned that they planned to use the money they'd saved from not maintaining the larger house to travel and enjoy their retirement. It felt like they were giving away my inheritance without a second thought. After a lot of back and forth, I decided to distance myself. I stopped visiting as often and only spoke to them when necessary. Rachel didn't seem to understand why I was upset, saying that it was just a house and that I should be happy for her. But it wasn't just a house to me, it was my childhood home, and I felt betrayed. Now, things have taken an even more dramatic turn. My parents' downsizing plan didn't go as smoothly as they'd hoped. The apartment they moved into turned out to have numerous issues: leaks, noisy neighbors, and a difficult landlord. They called me last week, asking if they could move in with me temporarily until they found a better place. I flat out refused. I told them that they'd made their choice when they gave Rachel the house, and that I wasn't going to bail them out now. My parents were furious, accusing me of being petty and vindictive. Rachel also got involved, saying that I was overreacting and that family should stick together. My husband thinks I'm justified in my decision, but some of my friends have said that I'm being too harsh and that I should help my parents out. Now I'm left wondering if I'm letting my hurt feelings get in the way of doing the right thing. Comment 1. NTA. They aren't obligated to give you the home and you aren't obligated to house them. I'll ask the obvious: why can't Rachel take them in at her new house? Comment 2. Why did you assume you alone would inherit the house? You have a sister. If your parents were going to be fair, it was never going to be just yours. That's amazingly selfish of you. But I don't blame you for not letting them move in. They clearly favor your sister, they can go live with her. They are her problem now, I wouldn't help them out ever again. My husband Peter, 29M, and I, 27F, have been married for about 3 years. We have one child together and I was pregnant with our second. I'm Western Canadian while he is from Germany. We lived in Canada for a long time, but because of inflation moving back to Germany seemed like a better option for us. We bought a nice house in Hanover where Peter is from. The day after our flights to Germany we all visited Peter's family. This was the second time I have seen them, the first was at our wedding. They greeted us and brought us inside of the house, fussing over my son. We had dinner, and soon we left the house, wanting to settle into our new home. We visited Peter's family often for the next few months. But I had started to realize that they would sometimes speak about me in German. They would make rude comments on my hair and makeup, question my fashion choices, and overall were just very unkind to me. They also said mean things about my pregnant belly, which I was already insecure about. I ended up talking to my husband about this. I told him that I didn't like the way that they were treating me. I said that I hated how my every choice was judged. He told me that he would talk to his family. The next time that we went to his parents' house, there were no more mean comments. For about 3 months it was like nothing ever happened. I gave birth to a perfect baby girl that we named Lilith. Peter's family was very upset when they heard the name. If you didn't know, Lilith means ghost or of the night. We didn't pick this name because of its meaning, but because it is a name that every girl in my family has had for many years. My middle name is Lilith, along with my mom's, my grandma's, and even my great-grandma's. For a while I didn't visit my in-laws. I didn't want to hear them talk about how I shouldn't have named my daughter Lilith. But yesterday we saw them again. It was my mother-in-law's birthday. As soon as we showed up, things started to go badly. Everybody wanted to hold Lilith, which made my mother-in-law upset because people weren't paying attention to her and made me overwhelmed. I didn't want people holding her. I was going through a pretty bad postpartum depression and it was still pretty early to see people. I let people look at her, but declined when anyone asked to hold her. During dinner I heard my sister-in-law talking to my mother-in-law in German. I heard her complaining about how she couldn't hold my baby. My sister-in-law even had the audacity to call me, and I quote, a fat ugly hokey addict. I turned to my sister-in-law and mother-in-law and told them off in German. I basically said that I have always known what they have said about me, but calling me names was the last straw. I also mentioned how I have known German for almost my whole life. The table instantly blew up. People were yelling at me because apparently this was all my fault. I left with Peter and we haven't talked to them since. So, comment 1. NTA, assholes are never wrong. They remain assholes by refusing to ever take ownership of their own words or actions, so they never have to change. They can be as judgmental and insulting as they want because they're right, and anyone who challenges them must be at fault. So of course it's your fault that they were insulting you. They couldn't possibly have been in the wrong. Sorry you married into a family of a-holes. Comment 2. An international wedding in the midst of 2021? House hunting in the hometown of your husband and you did not at least visit the parents once? You speak German and this never came up in several years? Not during the wedding, not in phone calls, video calls, never? Your husband talked to them and forgot to mention that you can understand them. Sorry, but the story sounds fishy to me.